Today's session is going to explore innovation in energy access and storage. And I genuinely believe it is such a privilege to be here to have conversations such as these, because as we all know, the energy crisis that we face in the global south is something that is rapidly expanding. And with the way the geopolitical shifts and rifts are happening in this world, these are conversations we need to have in order to advance energy access across the globe. Now, over here, we have some amazing panelists here, and we are going to drive this discussion further, and hopefully by the end, we will all leave with some good nuggets and information. To our panelists, can you please introduce yourselves and tell me what it is you do?
Nice to meet you. My name is Angelos Pastras. I work for a company called DNV. It's an international company, risk advisory, started from maritime, but now we span across the energy system. I specialize in energy storage. I've been involved with about 5.5 gigawatt hours of deployment of lithium-ion batteries in the UK. And I also happen to lead the Commonwealth Sustainable Energy Transition Youth Action Group. We have done a lot of work in Zambia, so it's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, so my name's Parsons. I'm a partner at Oaklin. We're a management consultancy. We help businesses to innovate, to scale and to grow all across the world. I lead our work in the energy sector, where we work with everything from multi-billion-dollar infrastructure projects down to innovative new startups.
And thank you for having me on the panel as well. My name's Wilks. I work for the Energy Transitions Commission, and the ETC is a global coalition of energy leaders. So we have around 50 energy companies who are members of the program, and we all work together to kind of figure out pathways to net zero by 2050 and accelerate change in that kind of context.
I am Edmond Mkaratigwa. I am an energy and sustainability practitioner from Zimbabwe. I'm a former member of parliament and the chairperson of the Mines and Mining Development Portfolio Committee, which gave me an opportunity to interact with the various stakeholders.
What are some of the most promising innovations out there? And if you all had to bet on one renewable energy technology to take the world by storm, which would you bet on?
We're only starting to realize now how important energy storage is for the energy system. We'll talk about it in more detail later, so I'd put my bet still on storage. But one more thing to add here, storage without grids and renewables without grids are also, they can't happen, unfortunately. So I think grids and storage would be my response to that for the time being.
Yeah, so I fully agree. I mean, I think for me, yes, there's energy technology. I mean, we know that, particularly sub-Saharan Africa has, I think it's something like 60% of the world's global solar potential, but 1% of its actual solar deployment. So the potential is huge. And so I would say solar, but to do that and to do the grids and the storage and everything that you said about, perhaps the most exciting thing for me is the digital technology that enables all of that, because as energy shifts from being fuels that we buy from petrostates and countries with fossil fuels into something that is effectively just infrastructure, and it's renewable and it's there, it's unlimited almost. The control is then how you manage and operate and make that work effectively. And there's some really interesting, exciting businesses. Places like Tanzania, there's Solar Intelligence, which is a business looking at how you can sort of efficiently operate digitally or optimize grids for renewables, for storage, and I think those homegrown businesses from places like that, I think for me that's super exciting.
I think I'm going to agree with what both of you have just said. I think both of those are very good answers. And just to add to it, I think maybe I'm going to be a bit cheeky here and not pick one technology, but I think the whole distributed energy system group of technologies is probably the most exciting thing going on in energy. So that combines things that generate energy like solar, rooftop solar, balcony solar, etc., with the storage, with the batteries, but also with the digital and appliances, which can shift load to when they align with the solar and storage combo. And for a bit of context, these technologies are on a crazy cost decline right now. Over the last 50 years, solar's decreased by 99% 99.9% in cost in terms of panel cost, and batteries have decreased by about 80% in the last decade alone. And combined, that has created an enormous opportunity. And this is transitioning existing kind of traditional fossil fuel grids into these decentralized grids. And we're seeing that happen at quite a fast rate around the world at the moment. And it's a huge opportunity, particularly in the global south, to leapfrog to this clean, affordable, and kind of widely available system.
Thank you very much. I think we have to look at it from the point of view of which sector are we looking at. If we are looking at industry, I think you are looking at maybe, if I can say, the past in terms of grid power connection. But when you take into consideration that more than 700 million people in remote areas are living without electricity, then I agree with what my colleagues are saying. The technology of the present that can speak to rural transformation that is easily accessible is actually solar.
I haven't forgotten about you. You are our expert when it comes to energy storage, and I think it's nearly impossible to talk about renewables without factoring in some sort of storage, right? What exactly makes it so transformative and critical to our energy transition plans globally?
Sure. That's a fair question that I get by a lot of people that are not technical, right? But there's two very simple ways to think of storage. One is like a power bank for your phone. You charge it at home when you have a lot of power, you take it with you. When you need power on your phone, you plug it in, you have an extended life on your device. A better way that I really personally enjoy somebody describing storage is it's a way to transfer energy through time, right? So we have a way with cables and things like this to transfer energy through space using electricity. Well, storage is a way to keep it there for a while and use it when you actually need it. So what does practically that mean for the energy system? It means we can charge our batteries or our pumped hydro, because when we're talking storage, we're not talking only batteries, we're talking pumped hydrogen, pumped hydrogen, and other technologies as well. We can charge those up when solar is at its peak during the middle of the day and discharge them later in the day when there is no solar or the wind production drops. And the second thing we discovered in the UK and the US and maybe Australia and some other countries that started deploying these batteries early, 5 years ago, is that lithium-ion specifically can have a lot of ancillary functions for the electricity grid. What does that mean? It means it can help regulate voltage, it can help regulate the frequency of the system in order to maintain its balance. Think of it this way: if you were to have a storm pass through your bigger solar farm, your production would drop significantly. You would need something to help you balance that up, because demand is what it is. So that balance is achieved a lot better with lithium-ion batteries, because they're very fast to respond, compared to something like gas, which takes 6, 7, 8 minutes to turn on.
Sam, I would actually love your perspective on this battery conversation as well, because I know you've done quite a few projects in regards to the integration of these renewable solar, wind alongside these batteries. And so I would love your perspective as well on where you see this industry headed, but also what are the key limitations and how do you see us bypassing these limitations?
Great. So on the battery conversation, I think just to zoom out a bit on the whole storage picture in different parts of the world. So one of our projects recently was looking at the differences in storage needs in different systems and how those vary, and they do vary significantly. So places like the UK, we have very seasonal supply and demand when you go to renewable sources. We're looking at heading towards a much more wind-dominated system, where you have more wind in winter, less wind in summer, very little solar in winter, some in summer, and then demand peaks around kind of winter time, that creates quite long duration storage challenges, which go beyond the kind of potential for batteries. So we're going to need things like, I mean, pumped hydros in the middle somewhere, maybe things like hydrogen that can do the super long duration storage.
Edmund, I know you've been doing your doctoral research on hydro energy as well as storage. Can you give us more insight into what that looks like and whether that's even feasible for sub-Saharan Africa?
When we are looking at grid power and the grid network is our road, is our power highway. There's generation, electricity is generated, and you need a road to distribute it. Our conversation here is around the distribution of power that's already been generated. When you come to hydrogen, China is actually leading the race in terms of hydrogen. They've invested billions, and at their costs right now, a megawatt of electricity in terms of available information, in terms of tendering, what is public now, China is costing about 250,000, which is far less than world parity. I'm talking of minimums. It's a range. It's only China that can go up to around 250,000 per megawatt. Of course, there's other researches that are being done that are classified. I'm talking of what is public. And India, its minimum is around 350,000. When you come to Europe, we are talking of 400,000 plus. The Americas, the same thing. When you come to Africa, it's only announced. A lot of projects are at infants in terms of hydrogen. We are talking of Namibia, we're talking of South Africa, we're talking of Morocco and the Sahel region, Mauritania. The announcement is to the point that their targeted pricing is also around 350,000 minimum at par with India. And China has leapfrogged. Why? Maybe because of pressure. They don't have much oil. They are endowed with coal, but they are also conscious in terms of the need to transition from fossil fuel sources of energy to cleaner energy.
Ben, we've spoken about energy storage, and I think a lot of the conversation regarding renewables is just how intermittent these technologies are, right? But I want to ask you, how stable are our current systems, our current centralized systems? Just how stable are they? And do you think the conversation regarding the intermittence of renewables is more of an exaggeration, and could it be more of a benefit to the renewable technologies? How do you think the diaspora can inform and strengthen innovation? And how do you think we can translate that technology transfer with the skills and knowledge that we've gathered?
A massive shout out to Energize Black. A few quick statistics. In the UK, so black and minority ethnic representation in the construction sector is 10%, in the technology sector 15%, and in finance it's 19%. In energy it's 5%. It's a shocking statistic, and Shuri and Edwin, who set up Energize Black, are doing phenomenal work, and they've grown their network to nearly 700 members in just 18 months. The professionals working in the energy sector, and they help them get hired, to go through professional development, to network and meet other professionals. So I'd encourage anybody that's involved in energy to get in touch with Energize Black. They're a brilliant organisation. I was massively flattered to be asked to join their advisory board to help them think about how they grow and develop that community. But you're exactly right. That community, that diaspora, those in the global north and the global south that are moving between them. I talked earlier about the need to share ideas and the answers that will come from the global south. Bring those ideas here. I think that's a great export opportunity, actually. And so I think the more we can do to connect voices across different parts of the world, I'm massively behind. So I think it's a huge opportunity.